Another wall-to-wall day. Never stop. Just rolling right along. Hope you're doing well as can be expected. As we have been saying, and as you know, things are speeding up. They are being expedited. I think the controllers, or the would-be controllers, see no pushback, so they're just going to let it roll and steamroll as much as they can, as quickly as they can. I think that's their plan. Texas border, the U.S. border, in Texas, one sector reports 500 invaders arrested in a single day. They're not telling us how many got away. 500 were arrested in one day. 1 out of 20 are said to be positive for COVID, whatever that really means. It means another false positive test. This thing's over. It's been over. Texas is dropping all restrictions, all mask mandates. All businesses in the entire state can open 100%. I think that's coming up on March 12th. So watch. Florida, pretty close behind. Others should follow suit. This thing is over. They're going to have to do something else, like introduce a new... Maybe they'll let Ebola run wild over here. We got real lucky last time. Or maybe it was kept out last time. You remember that? It was 4 or 5 years ago. West Africa, they've got a lot of trouble with Ebola. That would be another perfect kind of a scare thing that people would just, lock everybody up. So 1 in 20 are testing positive for COVID at the border now. That's certainly limited to those that they actually apprehend and can allegedly test. Of course, we know now that the test itself with that swab is introducing things into the human body. It may be a virtual injection. We've seen the video. The Communist Biden administration is now formally planning to add 117,000 invader youths to the U.S. this year. Now, many of those are gangsters. You can call them youths all they want, but they're gangbangers. We know that. There's one more here. Oh, this is a little bit different, but not much, because it pertains to a lot of these invaders that Biden is bringing in here. The majority of House Democrats, have voted in favor of lowering the voting age in America to 16. Let's make it 6, right? What the hell? Anchor baby time. Hello, William Gheen, AliPac.us, the most important and meaningful political action committee in America. AliPac.us. How are you?
Well, I got some bad news, Jeff.
Oh, no. Let me sit down. Well, actually, I'm sitting down. Go ahead.
Well, I had to put it out in an email to our supporters about an hour or two ago. I'm really feeling in my gut that if I don't get more people engaged as donors and volunteers, like right away, that we're going to get plowed. We're going to get plowed in March. And they're going to roll an amnesty bill all the way to Biden's desk. We've got some great people who are contributing and who are making calls and following our activism alerts, but we're nowhere near the level and capacity that we need to be. And it's time for people to understand it's time to get engaged. It's time to get focused in on what we're doing, and it's time to do the groundwork and the legwork now. If you set this one out and you let an amnesty bill slide on up to Biden's desk, one, you're really betraying all the people that are working hard to try to stop this thing, and two, it's over. It's not over yet. It will be if that bill gets to the desk. And
tell us more about the bill for our listeners who don't know. What's on the line here? What's the bill about?
They're going to try multiple bills. They're going to try to flip the DREAM Act amnesty bill for 2 to 3 million illegals. They're going to try to float the ag jobs amnesty bill for farm workers, and then they've got the Joe Biden's U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021, which not only gives amnesty to 11 to 22 million illegal aliens including voting rights to put Democrats, and each one of these bills to put Democrats in permanent power forevermore. But it also expands legal immigration to new and incredible heights beyond anything we've already experienced. I mean, it throws everything open so far and so wide that there's no coming back from it. And, we've stopped this thing many times before since in the last 16 years. We can stop it again if enough people will engage as donors and volunteers. But I'm this close to having to put AliPac in emergency mode where we stop all activism efforts at a very critical time and just focus on fundraising, because it's either focus on the fundraising to raise the money that we have to continue to exist as a national organization, or, not, and then disappear and not even be there in the fight at all. So we're very close to having to make that decision. We've gotten our letters in the air, and a lot of our letters are arriving out there. But I had to tell people straight, we've got a lot of different things going on. We got big tech trying to body block us from reaching our folks, including by email. We've got a lot of people who are still disappointed, licking their wounds, depressed about the election. We got a lot of people who feel hopeless that resistance is futile because they see the Democrats making such gains. We've got people who are incapacitated by the job loss or the loss of their business or the pausing of their business or incomes because of COVID. We got a lot of, and then we got a lot of other competing type stories that are drawing people's attention over here. Transvestites in the Olympics, and QAnon is going to blow up the Capitol, and and all this other stuff. We have to focus on these amnesty bills, and we have to do it now. And I had to put it out tonight. I feel like if we don't double or triple the response rate we're getting from our financial support people financially and as volunteers very quickly, then we're going to get plowed. We are going to get plowed, and we're not going to get plowed. We're not going to get plowed just because it was inevitable that we were going to get plowed. We're not going to get plowed over just because that was going to happen anyway. We're going to get plowed over because people didn't stand up like they have in the past. In the past, when certain amnesty bills had come along, this country got on fire. People got upset. People got on the phones, especially out of places like California and Texas and Florida, and they did something about it, and they put a stop to it. We're not feeling that right now. We're not feeling that just yet. And another thing is, some people are waiting for somebody like, Rush Limbaugh or somebody on Fox to tell them it's time to move, and that's just not going to be where it comes from.
No.
It's going to come from it's going to come from right here, right now. So we're this close to putting AliPac.us into emergency mode, survival mode. But we put out the word tonight. We must have more donors and volunteers. And we've got some great volunteers. We put out a thing where we asked people to contact 20 U.S. Senate offices, and then give us feedback. And there were many great people. I think about 20 plus people who emailed and called every single one of those and sent reports back to us. And I can't thank those 20 people enough. Thank God they're part of my organization, but it needs to be more like 200 people than 20. We don't even know what our reach is, Jeff. We're being so sandbagged and so much electronic skullduggery aimed at us. We don't even know how far we can reach people right now. People don't understand when they hear us say something, or if they get an email from us with a message in it, they should count themselves lucky. It may be to them just another piece of email. Oh, yeah, I signed up for that thing, and now it's in my spam folder. I don't really care. They don't understand how lucky they are that it even reached them. So, but it is what it is. And I'd rather tell people now, the hard facts now, than to wait for our funds drive to fail in 17 days or wait for the amnesty bill to pass. I'd rather tell people while they still have enough time to reassess what they're doing or what they're not doing and to bring this thing back online. But right now, it's time to start setting off the emergency klaxons.
All right. This is doable. Now, the lost election, there's nothing we can do about that. But this kind of pressure, we still have. We can't put pressure to bring the election back and reverse it. That's unfortunately gone. We know that. This is direct action. This is not waiting for the Supreme Court to do something or some state legislature. This is not waiting for Biden to die and put that horror in there. We can do something about this. Now, only 20 people. Bless each one of them. But you're right. There should be 200. There should be 2,000, really, if we had an active public. We've got to get up and make this work. William has led us for the better part of 2 decades or longer doing this, and we've won. He has made it happen. But you people were underneath it all. And I know some of you are regular donors, making donations, but you until we can get more people involved, and I would ask every one of you out there, and I don't ask for much, send William $10. Big deal. Stick it in an envelope, wrap it up nice in paper, and stick it in an envelope. You don't have to write him a check. You can do that if you want. But just send $10. If 3,000 of you do that, that's $30,000. If 1,000 of you do that, it's $10,000. That's going to help.
$10 is something everybody can do, Jeff. I mean, everybody out there, if you've got an internet connection, if you can afford a cell phone or an internet connection.
Oh, don't even go there.
$10 you can afford $10.
We've all got it. $10.
Yeah.
Most everybody. Yeah. It's doable. Give the address, please.
Well, if you'd like to mail it in, we're at P.O. Box 30966, Raleigh, NC 27622. And I'll repeat that slowly. That's Alipac, ALIPAC, at P.O. Box 30966, Raleigh, NC 27622. Or you can just go to alipac.us and click on the donations link at alipac.us. If you're one of our email alert recipients, you got 2 emails from us today asking for you to click on the link and to step into the secure donations portal and get some skin in the game. Put $10, $20, $50 into this fight.
You can use your card on the donate page. That's easy. But if you can't, you don't have whatever. You don't have a card. You want to just pull up an envelope right now, or write this on a piece of paper. Just get a $10 bill, wrap it up in paper. You can do it, and people won't see it. And send it. One more time on the address, please.
It's Alipac at P.O. Box 30966, Raleigh,
30966. 30966. Raleigh, RALEIGH.
Correct.
North Carolina.
NC 27622. And we've got to move on this thing, and we've got to move now, because look, here's what's out of Breitbart yesterday. GOP Congresswoman says Republican-led amnesty plan coming next week. Rep. Maria Elvira Salazar of Florida suggests a Republican-led amnesty plan for millions of illegal aliens living in the United States could be unveiled, quote, probably next week. In an interview with Fox Business Network's Larry Kudlow, Salazar said she is working on her own piece of legislation that would give legality to millions of illegal aliens. Quote, what would the GOP do? That's exactly what we're trying to put together, and how we're going to have something for you and for the viewers probably next week, said Salazar. Now look, here she is on a Fox network promoting this without anybody to counter her. There's nobody on Fox News that's saying, hey, what Salazar wants to do will ruin Republicans and ruin the country. Salazar said that providing an amnesty to illegal aliens who've been in the U.S. for at least 5 years is necessary to, quote, send a message to the Latinos or the Browns in this country that we in the Republican Party, we have the same values entrenched in our party that are in their hearts. Don't you think that the Republican Party should be talking to people like me? Well, we have not, Salazar exclaimed. We have not done it. Why? For whatever reasons. Mm-hmm. So, despite Salazar's claims, Trump had increased his support amongst Hispanic Americans between 2016 and 2020 from 28% to 32%, which, by the way, even G.W. Bush got 30 to 35% of the legal Hispanic vote. And he did it after surging interior and immigration enforcement and reducing overall legal immigration levels to boost U.S. wages, job opportunities for the lowest wage earners. In fact, Trump won over more Hispanic Americans in 2020 election than pro-amnesty Senator John McCain did in 2008. McCain, one of the co-sponsors of the Gang of Eight amnesty in 2013, won only 31% against former President Obama's 67%. So this bill, Kudlow agreed with Salazar. So Fox News agrees with Salazar that the GOP should back amnesty, saying most illegal aliens have, quote, been good citizens for a long time. And see, that's insane. Illegal aliens are not citizens. They have been neither good nor citizens, and many of them not for a long time. But here's Kudlow. They've been good citizens for a long time and deserve, quote, legality or citizenship.
Go to hell. Look, these people, I'm so
green
sick
card.
of it. I'm sick of it. I don't want to even hear it. It's disgusting.
Salazar says those illegal aliens are doing jobs that other Americans don't want to do.
Oh, please.
And, we got all of the
How many excuse me, William, hold on. How many Americans, honest to God, are in the streets right now, some of them listening, who would take any damn job they could get? And how many jobs have been stolen from them over the years? There may be 40 million illegals here, and there might be 20 million jobs sitting out there that should be gone to those Americans on the streets who have lost everything, lost their businesses, lost their lives, their homes. They just want a chance. And they have to fight against these invaders because of the communists who have overthrown this country. This is serious business. Now here, all of you have a chance to fight. You don't even have to get up out of your chair. Click over and send money to it. If William has to, he can hire people to make the calls necessary. But let's give him the money at least. You're getting more for that dollar than you can even imagine. Please, let's help.
Every day we can push this amnesty back. Biden's going to do, and more people are going to find out what Biden and Harris are doing about illegal immigration, and all of it stinks. All of it's horrible. It's horrible to most Hispanics. It's horrible to most blacks. It's horrible to most Democrats. It's horrible to any rational person. And the more time that has to get out and circulate, the less likely Republicans are going to be willing to cross the aisle and work with the Democrats and Biden to pass this amnesty. But we've got to buy time. Just today, the new thing that Biden did, the Department of Homeland Security changed its Immigration and Customs Enforcement alert at Twitter, which is at ICE Alert, to private. No one can see it anymore. This is where they used to spotlight dangerous illegal immigrants living in the United States after being freed by sanctuary cities. So this ICE account would alert people to murdering and raping illegal aliens that were being wanted by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And the ICE account's now set to protected. Protected tweets are only visible to Twitter users who are allowed to follow that account. Tweets cannot be reposted. John Freer, a former senior employee at ICE under President Donald Trump, sent a series of tweets. The Biden administration locked ICE's public safety alert account, which was used to inform the public about criminal illegal aliens freed by sanctuary cities, meaning blinding Americans to even have a knowledge of the danger in their communities. And every week there's another thing like this Biden-Harris does that most people in the country don't like. And we're playing in a role in getting that information out to people. And we've got to stop the amnesty bills long enough for this to sour the American public is already starting to sour on the Democrats and Biden and Harris. Okay? I don't care. They won't tell you that in the polling numbers. They'll say, Biden's got more support than ever before. And we know that's not true. Nobody in this country is happy. And the more somebody who's president or whatever's in everybody's face or seen or heard, the less like they'll be. The more they become a lightning rod for people's disdain and unhappiness and whatnot. And as we read things like about the Muppets being racist, Dr. Seuss being racist, Mr. Potato Head going non-gendered, tranny athletes taking awards from women athletes, it's one crazy thing after another that's turning people on them. And on that topic, Jeff, I've decided that I personally support the United States going to the Winter Olympics in Beijing, and I think we should send our very best transsexual athletes to the Olympics, because everybody that goes to China for these Olympics, even though we'll be sending, if we send the transvestite athletes, we'll be sending the Chinese's own fifth column here inside the United States back to visit them. Yeah. Everybody that goes, and I think a lot of journalists should go too, and a lot of not just regular mainstream media journalists, of course, they should be made to go. And Breitbart should send people, and James O'Keefe should send people, and video bloggers should send people. Everybody that can afford to go cover the Olympics in China should go, because the people that go and the people that hear about the people that go are going to get lessons in 4 very important topics. Pollution, racism, because the Chinese hate everybody that's not Chinese. They hate the Japanese and the South Koreans, and they hate blacks. They got restaurants that don't let blacks dine. So I'm looking forward to like some Americans going over to China and getting a dose of some real racism, communism, totalitarianism, and the whole world can watch as our transsexual athletes take medals from women all around the world, and we run it up the flagpole and we put it on full display and let the whole world have a conversation about that.
All right, good idea. Hold on a minute. William Gheen and I will be right back. Allipack.us is your pack. It's the best. Let's reach out and make this happen. This is funny. As you know, Biden, the 46th president, alleged illegal, unelected president, has yet to hold a single formal press conference. A month and almost 2 months after taking office, he's not going to do it. They're not going to let him loose without a prompter and questions in advance. So he's doing a virtual feed, and this is today. And the feed was suddenly cut off after Biden said he'd be happy to take questions from Democrat lawmakers. They said, pull the plug. No, that was the end of that. This guy is dangerously demented now. His derangement is clearly posing a major threat to the communists in charge. All right, William, go ahead.
It's not even doing the State of the Union address yet.
He can't. He's not going to. He can't.
Well, he can't.
The guy's dangerous.
He can't handle it. He's going to flub it. And one of the things I think we may have mentioned on a prior show, but Steven Crowder of Louder with Crowder, who is a really, really funny guy, they played a clip of where Biden used the N-word during a press conference in front of all these cameras and everything. Now, he obviously didn't mean to say it. He was stumbling through his words when he stumbled across the N-word, which, of course, if it had been any non-Democrat or any Republican lawmaker, they would have been forced into hiding and retirement already, and the media would have been banging on it. Hey, use the word that no white person can use. But I shared it on my Facebook page, and I come along about a day or two later, and it's marked up false. Our fact checkers have checked it, and apparently that since the White House transcript of what Biden said didn't have it as the N-word, but said it was something else, then what we could all hear wasn't really true. It was what the White House said it was.
Lies.
It wasn't what we heard.
Lies are the lubricant of conversation and thought anymore. Everything's a lie. Lies.
So they are covering for Biden's use of the N-word, and so it's just amazing. And the fact that we could play the video and hear it ourselves, and also the YouTube has a feature where you can turn on the subtitles or the captions. YouTube felt it was the N-word and spelled it out. YouTube, listening to Biden speak, its caption service lists the whole N-word for everybody to read. But because Biden's writers said that wasn't the word, then in pops a fact checker, and now everybody who shared the video saying, check out Biden saying the N-word is now false. And it's crazy. We are living in that Orwellian dystopia Orwell warned us about, and called it, and here we are. The only thing he didn't see was the computer element, because when he was writing his books, computers weren't around yet. It was just cameras and people. But here we are, and people can be led by about anybody. That's another thing, too. This QAnon thing is apparently continuing onward somehow or another, even though the supposed... I just want to tell everybody... I want to tell everybody that a long time back, a couple years ago into the Trump administration, when the Q thing popped up as some type of offshoot of the Trump phenomena. I'm not saying I know who Q was or who is or how close they were to Trump, but it was Q was clearly related and all about the Trump administration, supposedly telling people what was going on from inside the Trump administration. And a friend of mine said, hey, have you seen this? And I went and looked at it. No, I didn't find it to be credible. I did not find it to be credible. I looked at several things Q said. Didn't seem to match up with reality.
It was a psyop, William. It was a psyop. It was run by the deep state to keep people thinking that there are a lot of things in the works now. You don't have to get involved. Just sit back and watch the plan. It was a very clever psyop. That's all it was.
Well, it's still going, even though whatever.
Yeah.
Hey,
look, there's a sucker born every moment, and these people they're never going to run out of sheep to fool.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of stuff in today's headlines about it, even though the official Q channel stopped talking back in December.
Well, why?
Well,
because
they're saying
it's a communist media, and they're promulgating something that will ultimately help them.
Exactly, and they're using the QAnon bullcrap to smear everybody out there who's done their own research.
Right.
And found that this government and deep state and many elected officials to be, guilty of some very serious wrongdoing. But now they're using the QAnon to smear anybody like that as a cultist believer who has simply been misled by disinformation. And it gets better, Jeff. They're circulating articles that people online are sharing titled, here's one, Exit Counselors, Strain to Pull Americans Out of a Web of False Conspiracies. It's from NPR.org, and of course it lit up today, and it's a big, long article about all of these people out there who once were involved or thought they heard something through QAnon, who now, and whole families who are calling these intervention counselors who usually work with people who are members of cults to help bring people out of the disinformation of QAnon, while at the same time the U.S. Capitol Police is claiming that they have intelligence that an identified militia group has plans to attack the Capitol tomorrow because of a QAnon theory that Trump is somehow going to be sworn in on March the 4th. Okay?
It's such crap. It's such crap. It doesn't even warrant. It's not worth our time.
But it's headline.
But you're right.
I know.
Now,
and the reason I bring it up is because, one, they shouldn't be using this subsection of this QAnon bullcrap to smear everybody that's done their own homework. But the other thing is, if there really is an armed group in America that's threatening to blow up our U.S. Capitol building, because that Capitol building belongs to all of us, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Christians, Jewish, atheists, black, white, trans, and straight, okay? That's our Capitol building. If there really is intelligence that a, quote, identified militia group is threatening to do something to it, the Capitol Police should inform everyone who this group is. To hide the name and say that a threat is, quote, possible means this is most likely the latest Democrat-led hoax. And let me be clear on this, okay? Our problem isn't people believing the hoaxes that are going around on the right or with QAnon. They are hoaxes, and there's disinformation. Yes, there is. That's not the problem. The problem isn't some backwater website making predictions about conspiracy theories about child molesters and people in government. The biggest problem we have is the steady stream of mis- and disinformation coming out of CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, New York Times, Washington Post, etc.
Hold on. Here's the biggest problem. The problem is people watch that crap. Why? They actually think they're being informed. We have no alternative. The media is 95% against the Republic, against the Constitution, corrupted to the core, and really ought to just be disbanded. What happened to, you remember what Clinton did to us? Bill Clinton's worst betrayal of America and the Constitution was his deregulation of media control and the end of what we used to call, well, there were waves to stop massive takeovers and ownership of any particular discipline in government or private enterprise. They were called antitrust laws. They're gone. And that was Bill Clinton. He opened the door to wide open ownership, and we lost. That's when we lost the free and open press. There were thousands and maybe tens of thousands of families that own local TV affiliates, radio stations. That's all gone now. You hear the same crap. You looked at that. Did you look at that thing at the top of my homepage, which shows dozens of television affiliates using the exact verbatim script?
Talking point script. You're exactly right. The exact verbiage across the board. And that machine has lied to us about the pandemic. That machine has lied to us about many different people. That machine has, as the Democrats and socialists engage in their psychological projection, saying that people on the right are spreading disinformation, which are inspiring people to violence like January 6th. The real violence that's going on out there is the over 30% uptick in the murder rates across America, especially in the Democratic blue zones, which people who study crime statistics have never seen happen before. I call it the BLM murder wave, and it's being fueled by lies, by disinformation coming out of CNN and others about the death of George Floyd, the death of Trayvon Martin, the Duke lacrosse team, all of the false narratives, the false stories they've told about the Covington High School kids, on and on and on. They've told these big whoppers of lies that make white people and Christians and Trump voters and Republicans and anybody that would stand in the way of the socialists look bad, to the point, all across this America, and we've seen the videos of it, but you can't show people the videos because, Facebook erases your Stop Anti-White Racism group that you create at AliPac, because all across America, people are being hurt. There's there's going to be an attack on the Capitol tomorrow, March 4th, across America. There will be people of all races who are going to get hurt because of the vicious lies being told on CNN, MSNBC, Washington Post, and forever. Little 5-year-old children in North Carolina are executed playing on their bikes in their yards, point blank by BLM supporters who have the wrong idea about white people, white children, and everybody else, because they've been told these lies over and over again to foment them into a type of low-intensity conflict, revolutionary force that's out there murdering people.
Yeah, the sad truth is, per capita, the biggest racism in America is black on white. That's a fact. I'll stand on it. And I don't want it to be that way, but it is. They're teaching young black people to hate whitey. I guarantee it. And the murders, as William just said, in the blue states are going to continue upward and upward and upward. It's not going to slow down.
Well, a demographer would run in real quick and say, hey, old saying for 3 decades, 90% of crime is white on white, black on black. And it is true that the majority of crime perpetrators and victims are within their own racial or ethnic category.
I'm talking about racism.
But when you look at the crime stats and when you look at the bleed over, a black person is 10 to 15 times more likely to murder a white person than the inverse. But if you turn on the news, that's not what it is. Racist white cops are out hunting down blacks and and murdering them. And when in truth, the biggest danger is to our police officers. More police officers are being shot and killed by blacks than are shooting and killing blacks. And so this media is propagating these lies in our face that are inspiring violence out there. And look what they did. Yeah. They took away shows that showed our police in a favorable light. The show Cops, which had been on for decades, and then the most watched show on cable news cable show, Live PD, which was a newer than Cops, but very, it was one of the most watched shows on cable. Okay, and they took it away over this Black Lives Matter and Antifa stuff, and the shows showed police in a human light and helped people understand police better. Help people understand how to interact with police better, and the police officer's perspective on why they ask people to do certain things, and what people raised public awareness about how the police serve something, such an important job. And they took that away because anything that would show police in a positive light or create understanding for them is taken away to pursue the agenda of the socialists who are out to destroy the United States of America as we know it, because they consider us, our Constitution, our beliefs, all to be patriarchy, colonialism, that they plan to tear apart completely and rebuild their own new nation on top of us. And again, I've said it before because I know it's true. There's a lot of them, not all of them, but there's a lot of them on that side that are willing to kill millions of us to see their dream come true.
Absolutely, and no doubt.
Yes, that's what's really at stake here. These people, we've got to keep our freedoms of speech, keep our Second Amendment rights to protect ourselves and our homes. We have to keep our Fourth Amendment. We have to keep all of these constitutional things intact, because if they take those things away, then the gate is clear. But they'll try to keep hope going. Hope is a powerful motivator. Wasn't that Obama's big slogan, change and hope, was his slogan? Yeah. Hope is a thing they use to control people, just like the Nazis did, because over the
It's a commodity. They call it opium. Yeah.
Well, what was it, the Gates? Albrecht mocked Fry. What is it? Work will set you free.
Yep.
You have to allow people that you want to control to continue to have hope, because if they lose hope, you can't control them, and they won't do what you ask you. That becomes very inefficient to be able to control them. You have to be able to control people. You have to keep that hope going, and so we're in a situation here where a lot of people are getting hurt right now. As more illegals spill in and more police are pushed back and more crazy racism accusations are thrown at Dr. Seuss and the Muppets and Mr. Potato Head, it's going to get worse and worse, for the people out there. And but we've got a real shot here at taking all that energy and organizing it into a 2022 push in the elections. I know the elections are messed up. I know we got a bunch of illegals voting. I know, but the state legislatures in the Republican states like North Carolina, they're trying to tighten up the elections right now. There are probably about half our states that are trying to secure the elections for the 2022 cycle. A lot of the Republicans in the state houses and state Senate and the governorship.
The legislatures are in many states. The legislatures are trying to pass laws to stop the outrageous fraud and theft. They're trying.
Yes.
I hope they're successful. I hope they're successful. We know the Supreme Court has betrayed the Republic. We know the Congress is as much of a fraud as it can be. We know the presidency is a joke. So the three parts of government, our government, not mine, are gone. It's just over. Now, any of you out there who have liberal friends, ask them if they'd like to see the Constitution trashed, and be prepared. They're going to tell you yes. They don't even read it. They don't know what it is. If it weren't for the Constitution, they wouldn't have a chance. They wouldn't be where they are now. Go ahead.
Well, Joe, I just looked in my email box, and about 7 or 8 people, while we were talking in the first half of the show about the fundraiser at Allipac, it looks like about 8 or 9 people came in and donated $25 each and responded to that. So I want to say thank you on the air for the people that are doing that. And here in the closing of the second segment, once again, we're at Allipac at P.O. Box 30966, Raleigh, NC. 27622 for mail donations, and you can donate with a credit card, debit card, or PayPal or non-PayPal payments through our secure transaction portal, allipac.us. That's ALIPAC.us. So thankful to see people getting engaged and donors putting some skin in the game. We've got to get our donations and our volunteer level participation rate up as soon as possible, so that we don't get plowed by these illegal immigrants and the open border supporters that are rolling the amnesty our way next week. And
come on, they're drug dealers and killers among them. Let's not forget that. That's what we're bringing in here: criminals, gangsters, criminals. Go ahead.
Well, I really appreciate the people who are out there listening right now who are stepping up And, every day that I can afford to do this, I'm going to get up and I'm going to take it to these people. We may not always agree on strategies in every single facet of what needs to be done, but if we're core constitutionalists and we stick to the rules, it's a great pleasure, and it's been a great honor for me to be able to get up every day and do what you can against these people. Getting on shows like this, getting on other shows, organizing people like this it's been a great honor, and I want to keep doing it. I want to keep fighting these people with everything I've got, not just because of my almost lifelong commitment now to this, but there's other people in my life I don't talk about in the open that I can't leave the country in this shape for. Okay, and I know a lot of people out there have got kids and grandkids and are concerned about what's coming next. Sure. And we got people talking about letting kids make decisions to take puberty blocking drugs at like ridiculously low ages by Biden's transsexual assistant secretary of health, Dr. Levin. And those are the type of scary people that will put people in camps, Jeff. That's the type of people Levine, I'm talking about right there.
Yes. Levine would have no problem. Many of them. What an obscenity this culture has produced, this corrupted culture now. There's a bill. This is kind of encouraging. This is out of the Washington Examiner. There is a bill that is, it's in existence now. It would make it a felony for any doctor to administer hormone therapy to minors. Now that's in Alabama. But let's let Alabama lead the way. Other states can do it. Let's see South Dakota do this, all right? Let's see Florida. Let's see Texas, all right? The Alabama Senate voted yesterday, to make it a felony for medical professionals to treat minors with hormone therapy or sex change surgery. That was a Republican-sponsored bill. Bravo, Alabama. Give them hell. We got to take this as the lead. This has to be this has to be done by as many states as possible. The people that do this are inhuman butchers of humanity. It's what they are. They're not human.
And I saw where they wanted to start experimenting with the experimental vaccines on children as young as 5, and I went and looked it up. I went up and looked it up, Jeff, because nobody's supposed to be able to be undergoing any type of medical experimentation unless they have what's called informed.
It's worse than that.
Well, it requires informed consent.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, and somebody under 18 cannot legally give their informed consent, so they let the parents give informed consent, and then the children have to give some type of affirmation that they know that they're being used in medical experiments. And that should just never happen. There should never be any type of medical experimentation conducted on children unless it was a specific and nationally agreed upon practice that was like addressing something like the polio crisis. I mean, I could think of a couple of times in history where, as a nation, with the nation agreeing to do it, I could see us doing some testing for something like polio and the fight against that or something like that. But that's not what's going on here. These people are basically, they're looking to get their hands on kids any way they can, through the schools, through the culture, through the government.
It's a war on children. Childhood innocence has been destroyed now. Now it's a war on physical children. And they're talking about newborns for these experimental injections. Newborns who have no immune system at all. Newborns. That's what they're talking about next. This is worldwide genocide. We got geriatric genocide. That's obvious. Old people, especially in homes and extended care facilities, whatever their problem is, they're being knocked off fast. And this vaccine, by the way, the head of which country was it? Namibia? I think it was Namibia. All right, anyway, the president of the country found bottles of vaccines that said not for use in the EU or the USA. Now, what does that tell you? They were sent to Africa. What does that tell you? It tells you this is an obvious racially profiled vaccine, which is not a vaccine, And there's some that are made for different ethnic groups. White Western Christians, black Africans. Does that give you confidence? This guy's furious. Thanks so much for being with us this evening. Lots to think about. Take care.